Regret. Everybody has done something that they regret, at least once in their lives, right? Whether that's a bad relationship, going to the wrong school, failing classes, having a job that sucks and getting fired, losing friends, whatever. But why do we regret things? Why don't we appreciate the things that we went through, even though they sucked in the moment? Why don't we think about the fact that that regret should instead be something more positive, something that we take away from the experience? Naturally, as humans, we're always going to be making mistakes. And I'm human. You're human. Your mom is human. Everyone is human. One of our biggest flaws as human beings is that we always think of ourselves in our heads as being able to perform perfectly, right? Of course, that, it depends on what kind of person you are, right? But most people imagine that they will be able to perform perfectly in things. They imagine that, I'm going to ace this test because I studied. And then they find out that there are questions on the test that they didn't even, expect, right? Or maybe the wording is different or whatever. By the way, I'm about to build the roof of my house, finally, after weeks of playing this world. And I really want you guys to see this, so that's why I'm doing this on video. But anyway, we all find ways to regret the decisions that we make, right? And sometimes we even go so far as to start to hate ourselves or just rag on ourselves for making mistakes. And it's like, we're all human, Everyone is bound to mess up at least once in their lives. And I know I've made plenty of mistakes. But I've learned to appreciate those mistakes. Because, if anything, those mistakes are character building. They are what make you you, the person that you've become today. For example, right? The other day, I went out and I went to my usual spot for food. And I normally, when I go there, I don't talk to anybody. I don't even think about talking to anybody because I don't really want to, or I just had a long day, right? But then I was like, you know what? Talking to strangers is one of those things that everyone needs to do once in a while, right? Everyone needs to have a conversation with someone that they don't know, just so that they can get a fresh perspective on life. Maybe this person has experiences that you have never even thought of having, let alone have you actually had those experiences. So, I talked to this guy there. He's an older gentleman. He had been working there for quite a while, and I'd seen him plenty of times, but I just never thought of speaking to him, and it was nothing personal, like I mentioned earlier. But I've seen this guy plenty of times, and he seemed really cool, he was always so nice to me and everyone else, and just overly polite for someone who's in customer service. Like, it's almost unnatural, But I really liked his demeanor and just the way that he conveyed himself. And I heard this girl, when I was ordering my food, compliment him on his tattoo. Now, I didn't even see the tattoo when she complimented him, but I heard the compliment and I heard how much he appreciated it. And, he seemed so, genuinely happy to hear someone, just point out something so stupid, But it was so nice and sort of unexpected that even I myself was like, okay, you know what, maybe I should, I don't know, do the same, maybe make this guy's night, So, while my food is being made by this guy, who, once again, he's made my food plenty of times and I just never bothered talking to him, I was like, you know what, can I see your tattoo? I heard that girl, talking about your tattoo. And he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And it's just a dragon tattoo. It's nothing crazy, but it just looks so cool. And I was like, I've never been interested in tattoos, but I always thought tattoos are kind of cool, just to look at. And sometimes they tell you what kind of person someone is, and maybe it's something that's important to them. Maybe it's like their life story. It could be the date of someone that died in their family. It could be anything, But he tells me this dragon tattoo I got 30 years ago when I was 18 years old. And I was like, damn, dude, that's a long time, but it looks really good for 30 years, And he was like, yeah, but, it's just one of those things that it sticks with you. It's a decision that you make and it sticks with you. While I'm talking, by the way, I'm done with the roof, and I think it looks pretty good. Don't you guys? I don't know, but anyway, I've always wanted to make a cute, quaint little house in this game, so here it is. But anyway, yeah, back to the topic. So, so this guy, he tells me that he got it 30 years ago, and I'm like, damn, like 30 years ago, you must regret getting that tattoo, right? And he was like, no, of course not. Why would I regret it? You know, I was a teenager. I did stupid stuff, but honestly, I love the tattoo. I'm to this day, I still actually really like the style of it and the artwork. Somebody actually appreciates something that a decision that they made even when they were a teenager. That's pretty unheard of, you know. And he's like, you know why? It's because you're not supposed to have any regrets. You're supposed to appreciate the experiences that you've had. You're supposed to appreciate the decisions that you made when you were younger or even recently that improved or changed the trajectory of your life in a way that isn't particularly horrible, just something that sort of improved you as a person, right? So that could be losing a job, but then in the process of losing that job, you actually gained a better job, right? All in all, what I'm trying to say is, of course, yeah, don't regret things, because regret will only hold you back. But simultaneously, you should still learn from your mistakes, because every decision you make makes you who you are. And it reminds me of a quote. I'm a little bit distracted while I'm playing this because I'm so engrossed in this, but it reminds me of a quote. And this quote has kind of stuck with me for a long time. Thinking about the past turns to anger and regret. Thinking about the future turns to worry and fear. Obviously, you should still think about your future, but you should also not think too much to the point that you make yourself dizzy. You know, you make yourself angry and worrisome. And of course, nostalgia and things like that are nice, but thinking about the past can also be harmful, because if you dwell too much on the mistakes that you've made, the decisions that you made that you regret, quote unquote, you're never going to be able to move forward. Anyway, that's it. I felt like this was a pretty good topic to talk about for my second video, just because of the fact that it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. I've been talking about it with a few friends and family members, and I feel like it's a very near and dear sort of ideology to me. So I really just wanted to leave the video off on a nice note, and I want you guys to not be so depressed or so antagonistic or pessimistic about things in life. Just appreciate the mistakes that you make and learn from them. And yeah, that's it. So good night and take care.